Now, one thing I did want to ask you about, we saw last week Tyson Fury now not fighting this year, going to fight in the US early next year instead. What was the main reasons behind that ultimate decision?
Well, there's a couple of things. It's financially, but at the end of the day, financially didn't stack up from times that the times that the Americans wanted the fight to go on, which was the early hours of the morning, to the time that we originally were going to put the show on at prime time. That didn't work, and financially couldn't generate enough income to make it happen. So that was the problem.
And talking
Which
of
is a great show.
finances, something I do want to ask you, and you'll know why I'm asking you because it links into another story we've got earlier this week, is that Tyson Fury's last fight against Deontay Wilder was on UK pay-per-view at a new price point for Tyson Fury, just as Anthony Joshua's last fight was. We've now found out that Joshua's forthcoming fight against Kubrat Pulev will stay at that new price of, $24.95. Will Tyson, is he now established at that price point regardless of who he fights?
I don't know yet. I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. I mean, if we can start grading them, then what are you going to do? If he gets in with Anthony Joshua, what price is that going to be? Where'd you go with it? I don't think we should be, even going there with that. It is what it is at the moment. We've got no live gates. Where are we going to get the income? It's got to come from somewhere. That's where we're at. If we had the live gates, maybe that would make a slight difference for fights that are not such a big fight. But we had no live gates, so I can't blame Matchroom for charging what they're charging. It'd be very easy for me to say it's a liberty and so forth. But, there's no live gate. Where are you going to generate the money from? You've got to generate it from somewhere.
Now, as we know, we're almost in the midst of your 40th anniversary involved in boxing. It's kind of sandwiched between two shows. So you'll certainly be busy. I'm not sure how much time you'll have to reflect on the 40 years experience you've accrued. But I just want to ask you, I know you've talked in depth about it already, but I want to ask you some kind of quick fire style questions about your 40 years. So first of all, who's the most naturally gifted fighter that you've ever worked with?
Nice.
Who made the most of their talent?
I would say at the moment, well, it's a toss-up because he's still fighting, but it's a toss-up between Joe Calzaghe and Tyson, and see where Tyson goes at the end of his career.
Who stands out as having walked away from the sport, having not fulfilled their potential?
Oh, there's been loads of fighters, over the years. Fighters not even won titles who I thought were going to be something special, but Naz still, Naz done at his best. He was the best. But towards the end, and he was still a young man, he wasn't, it just didn't work out for him.
What's been your proudest moment in boxing in the last 40 years? I'm sure there have been loads, but what stands out?
Oh God, I can't. There's been a lot of fights and a lot of great times, but I think what I was really, really pleased to be part of was two things. Really, was one, getting paying for and getting all the boxers in the UK MRI scans when boxing was really under the cosh from all sides, and working with neurologists and the border control when we managed to get that done. So therefore, forming a base level where they could monitor how each boxer was getting on over a period of time. So that was good. And I was really pleased to be able to help settle the matter between, and I never promoted him, by the way, between Michael Watson and the Boxing Border Control, which I thought was an awful time for boxing, and I thought he was treated extremely badly, and he didn't look like he was going to get any money out of it, and he was solely needed it being incapacitated and being as bad as he was. So I was quite pleased to have helped and maybe been instrumental of settling that matter to enable him to have a better life and enable the board to continue.
And your biggest regret?
Probably doing those things, because after I'd done them, everybody said I had the board in my pocket.
Fair enough.
Which I didn't. No, my biggest regret, look, I got no regrets because I don't think about things like that. I think if things go wrong, they're things to learn from, and I turn a regret, if you want to call it, into a positive and learn from it and move forward.
Who's been the biggest pleasure to work with over the years? It doesn't have to be a boxer. It could be someone in the office. It could be a manager, trainer, whatever. Who's been the biggest pleasure to work alongside?
I love working with Ernie Fossey. You know, Ernie was from day one. He was one of my mates. He knew boxing backwards. Dean, both he's passed away. Dean Powell, was great in my office. I can read your whole roster of them. You know, Andy Allen, Emma, Headley. You know, all the guys. Working with my kids is great, and a stack of fighters. But I really did enjoy working with Enzo McAnally.
Okay, he'll love that. And who's given you the biggest headache?
Biggest headache, God. Do you know who gives me the ones who give me the headache? The biggest headache is the one who wastes their talent. Tony Collins, Mitchell Smith, fighters that they really, really do give me a headache. The rest of it is what it is. That's what gives me a headache.
Well, I hope
because
you've got your
such talented fighters. They were both of them. Them and a few others. I'm sure I can, bring to my mind. But those two especially, they're really extraordinary, talented fighters who just didn't have discipline.
Well, I hope you've got your paracetamol stocked up because apparently Mitchell Smith's going to meet you early next year on the comeback trail. So.
Well, I'd like to. I've got no problem sitting down with him, and I quite liked Mitchell, but he's been out a long time. He's got, this boxing is an unforgiving sport. You can't, as was it Martin Bower said, you can play sport, but you can't play boxing.
Well, congratulations for the 40 years. Obviously known you for about 10 or 15 of them now, but it's mostly been a pleasure. I can't say we've never butted heads, as I'm sure you have with plenty of other people, and so have I, but no one respects what you do for the game more than I do. So congratulations, and here's to many more years.
Thank you, Dan. It's been a pleasure butting heads, mate. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
You look after yourself.
And you, Frank. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dan. Cheers, mate. Bye.